Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Baruch Hashem. Thank God. Fantastic. I'm doing great.
So, Purim is tomorrow night and Tuesday. Do you have a costume ready for that?
Uh, I actually am invited out. Meryl and I are invited out, and the theme of the party is Disney characters. So I'm going to come as a Disney character. I was going to do Woody from the Toy Story, but then I had another thought. So I
Yeah.
don't know if I should say what I'm going to do because somebody might be watching, and I want to make sure that I surprise people at the party so they'll be happy and enjoy the joke.
So
But I
basically,
don't
so
know.
the costume is from the Disney canon of movies.
Yeah, for example, Meryl is going to be Mary Poppins, and she found a
Okay.
hat and an umbrella, and she's going to fly in from outside.
She's got ropes and everything
Yeah,
and
right,
pulleys.
with a parachute.
Uh-huh. That's pretty good.
So how
All
about
right. Well,
you?
I look forward to seeing pictures.
Are you dressing up for Purim?
I'm gonna dress up as a Jewish journalist. So you'll have to see what that looks like.
Okay.
So as we've been doing every week leading up to the Oscars, is we've been discussing different Academy Award nominated movies. The Oscars are next Sunday night, so we don't have much time left. So today we figured we would talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which has won a lot of awards leading up to the Oscars. Smaller awards leading up to the Oscars, and so it's certainly, I think, probably one of the top three choices if you're in Las Vegas and betting on the Best Picture. I would say it's definitely in the top three. I'm trying to think of a way to synopsize this movie, and it's a really hard movie to give a synopsis to.
Yeah.
But it's a story about family, a
Uh-huh.
husband and a wife who own a laundromat, and their daughter and their grandfather. And it's kind of a weird, fantastical movie. What did you think about it?
Well, I was going to ask you to summarize it because I'm not able to summarize it. This film is like three parts, and
Yeah,
it's just extremely innovative. I
yeah,
started watching it about a month or so ago, and after about 15 minutes, I said I turned it off. It was just too confusing.
yeah,
It seemed there was like a jump into a second universe, as it were, and everything I thought was
yeah,
normal wasn't normal, and I just lost interest. But then because it's been touted for so many awards, I felt I should give it a second chance. So
yeah,
I watched it from beginning to the end, and I admired its creativity. I mean, it's the title is really very apt. It is Everything Everywhere All at Once, and there is a message here, but the message is not simple to grasp. There is a message. You have to hunt for it a little bit because there's so many different aspects to this movie. It's very complicated.
yeah,
And you have to, as the poet Coleridge once said, in order to understand something, sometimes you have to have a willing suspension of disbelief. You have to
yeah,
just be ready to jump in and just see where it takes you. And that's how I felt about this particular movie.
yeah.
It's just going
I
all
thought it
over
was, yeah, like you said, I thought it was very original. Nowadays we see so many movies that are part of a franchise, a remake, a superhero sequel. It was
Yeah,
nice to see an original story. It was, to me, it was really
yeah.
enjoyable for that aspect alone. It was just kind of an original piece of
Uh-huh.
cinema. So there's probably lots of kosher lessons you can get from this movie. So I'm curious if you want to kick things off here.
Well, I feel it has a positive message. However, the way it sometimes there were two problems. I had to start with a problem, but these were the problems I have with this movie. I felt it was overly long, and it wasn't. is tightly designed. I mean, listen, again, I'm not a movie maker. I'm just a movie critic. But for me, it was about, almost a half hour too long. There some of the fight sequences, they just went on, and they didn't, from my perspective, add anything new to the narrative. So that was disappointing. Uh, it just was longer than I thought it needed to be. And the second thing was that some of the imagery, there's no sex in this movie, there's no nudity per se, but some of the images were very vulgar, and I just it hurt. We'll put it this way: it kept me from enjoying the film because I felt I couldn't easily recommend it as a kosher movie, even though the messages were quite profound.
Right.
We see a family here in disarray. There's a lot of things happening here, but what I found very beautiful about it is that's life. Life, you can't simply put one part of it aside and forget about the rest. Everything is happening all at once. So it may be an exaggerated example of that. She has a laundromat problem. She has a
Tax problem.
tax problem. She has a daughter problem. She has a father problem. I mean,
Husband problem.
Her life is all over the place. Everything, all at once. But that only is it's a microcosm of what we all go through in life. So I thought that was a very important message, that at the end of the day, what really counts. And for me, there's a couple of lines in the film that kind of resonated. I forget who says it, but I think maybe the husband said it to his wife. When things are not going where you want them to go, he says, be kind. And I thought that was a really simple, but yet a profound statement. At the end of the day, be a nice person. Focus on relationships, connectivity, human relationships. And there also, there's a lot of narration in the film here. At least I think there was. I can't remember everything. But the idea is that some of these people at the beginning, like you see that with, Jamie Curtis, at the beginning of the film, she's a very negative person. But as the film developed, you see, she's a person with a great heart, a really sweet person. And what the film suggests here is that we have to recognize that people who at the outset seem to be combative, and against us, in truth, maybe really fine people. We have to just be kind to them and nice to them. And when it comes to even our kids, we have to accept our kids for who they are and be supportive of them and realize that we can't always mold them. You're a son, I'm a father. We've gone through this. It's not simple. But as Proverbs tells us, Chanoch lana al pi darko, educate a child according to his way. Every kid is different. It's not simple. And sometimes we can be a more effective parent if we simply accept our kids in terms of who they are, and don't try to put them into a cookie cutter framework. And the film also suggests that we should be content with a lot of the things we already have. And what I found interesting, I'm talking too much, and you can interrupt any time, please. The film explores the possibility that in the course of life, we've made choices, and we could have made other choices. I thought that was a little brilliant insight, because you see the lady in the laundromat, is one lady, but she had a lot of choices along the way that could have changed the arc of her life. So I thought
it reminded me. Yeah, it reminded me. There was a movie, I think, from the 1990s with Gwyneth Paltrow called Sliding Doors, where
I haven't seen it, but I know of it. Yeah.
So there's a whole concept of she's at. I haven't seen it in a long time, but if I recall, it's the concept is she's at a train station, and the doors open, and one version of her gets in that train, and her life goes on from that timeline, and in the other timeline, she doesn't get on the train, and her life goes in this completely different direction. And we see this in this in this movie where she's a laundromat owner in one timeline, she's an action movie star in another timeline. all sorts of different timelines, and it's all like you said, it's the sliding doors. You never know like what one decision. It was a very thoughtful movie in that sense. You never know what one decision will make you or will change the outcome of your life, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would have
con-
preferred if the narrative was a little more straightforward, not totally straightforward, because I like what they did, but it was a little bit. It was hard to assimilate all these different images. It
yeah,
was. I'm sure it could be my fault. I like movies, and I like movies that are interesting and have things to say. There's a scene here where two rocks talk to one another,
yeah,
and I thought it was so clever. But at the end of the day, I tried to put my head around it. What were they talking about? I mean, the image
right.
was so powerful, so strong that I was stuck on the image, and I didn't really get the message behind these two rocks talking to one another. Did you?
I mean, it's hard to explain it to an audience here. um, but it showed that part of the movie showed. I'm just going to try to share this. I have a. It's hard to see. I have a picture. I have a little video of the two rocks here. These two
Uh,
rocks are communicating with each other, and it's the mother and the daughter in a different universe where they're both rocks and they're silently communicating with each other, as you can see with the text on the screen.
okay.
And but it shows, this goes to another point in the movie is that how important family is, and that the mother, despite everything that's going on in her life, is willing to give up her own life or do anything to make sure her daughter is okay, and her daughter is happy. And so, there's a big fight scene at the end where she saves her daughter. But even in this scene right here with the rocks, um, the daughter starts rolling off the cliff. The daughter rock starts rolling off the cliff, and
Uh,
she, um, risks her own life. The mother risks her own life to chase her daughter down the cliff. Um, which again, you've seen parents in movies try to rescue their children in all sorts of scenarios, but this to me was such a a unique way of showing it.
yeah,
As indicated by rocks.
right. As I watch it, it's brilliant and crazy,
Yeah.
but it's not for everyone.
Right. Right.
Yeah. There are other ways to make that point without the profanity. Although I know the movies there's so much of profanity, but these particular points, which I think are important, could be made in a less graphic way and still accomplish the ends of the people who made the movie. So
Yeah.
as I say, these vulgar images, I don't even want to mention them, but the truth is that they're off-putting, at least for me.
Yeah.
Maybe other people, are not bothered by them, but I was bothered by them, and I felt this movie had something to say. So I was disappointed. I really I wanted to recommend it, but
Mhm.
I felt I said the imagery was so vulgar at times. I felt I can't do that. Nonetheless, I think it's an artistic
Yeah, let's
masterpiece.
end on a high note here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll say
yeah. I
something. You
mean,
say something nice, and I'll say something nice about it.
yeah, this picture, from an artistic point of view, from my point of view, was extraordinary. I mean, really, it's filled with ideas and interesting images. I mean, it was a lot to think about here. Um, but it was, as I say, I had mixed feelings, mixed feelings. Overall, again, if you're an artist and you're into cinema, I can see why a lot of people would like this movie because it's really one of a
Yeah.
kind. I mean, the
Yeah.
acting, everything is really cool. Okay,
Yeah.
your comment.
Yeah, and that is my it was I didn't know seen a trailer for the movie, but watching a trailer for this movie, you really have no clue what it's about. So I was completely, I was completely open-minded and surprised, what it was about. Um, and it really was all about, at the end of the day, it was all about family. I mean, this is to me was the epitome of, the whole, I think, message of this movie was the importance of family. Despite, all the stress going on at work or whatever, that's what it all boils down to. So I thought it was very, despite the craziness, there was a pure message going through it, I think.
So let me ask you one question. You said it's about family. Tell me
Yeah.
specifically, what's the message about family that you see in this movie?
Well, the movie starts off with, okay, this woman is, stressed out about the business she owns, and the tax, she's being audited and all this stuff, and her husband wants to divorce her. Um, and despite all the chaos around her, at the end of the movie, she goes through this wild adventure, and she's told that her daughter in an alternate universe is this villain, this evil, this big bad villain, and she's not willing to accept that, and she's like, I can still save my daughter even though everyone else is telling me it's impossible to save her. I'm going to save her. And she grows through the process. I think the daughter grows through the process, the husband grows through the process. So I mean, to me, it's a family movie disguised as a wacky adventure film.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have some positive to say. Okay.
Yeah. So I like to end every show by reminding everybody that these are just little tastes of what you can get if you buy my dad's Kosher Movies book series. He's got 7 already on the shelf. They are available on Amazon, Amazon.com. Just type in Kosher Movies and you'll see 7 of them listed. There's 2 more that are about to come out soon. So stay tuned for that. And they're just full of movie reviews like this, where my dad talks about different life lessons from all sorts of movies, from old movies to new movies, westerns, action movies, documentaries, all sorts of movies, even cartoons.
That's incredible.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we go?
No, well, in terms of we have one film more to go before Oscar night. So some people have encouraged me to do The Fabelmans. Others have encouraged me to do All Quiet on the Western Front. But I don't have any specific, agenda here. I'd be happy to hear from anybody in our viewership or in our audience to make some suggestions so Benjamin and I can ponder which film to do for the program that immediately precedes the Oscars.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.